and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I am Della Shea, and I am the Chief Privacy and Data Governance Officer at Symcor. And we are partnering with the CDO Magazine, MIT CDO IQ, and the International Society of Chief Data Officers in a series of interviews. Today, I have the pleasure of talking with Dan Sanders, who is the Senior Vice President of Technology, Operations, Security, and Service Delivery at Avaneer Health. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So with technologies like blockchain or analytics or machine learning, et cetera, they really have a great dependency on users. And, what is the adoption level of users to be able to use these more transformative technologies? So as you're embarking on a digital transformation, what has been your experience? And maybe if you can give us some insights in terms of what it's been like to help transform not just the technology, but also the culture and the mindsets of the people that are dependent, that, in order to make sure that this is successful, you got to bring the people along with you. So maybe you could share some of your experiences of what's been working well, some of those challenges on that more people-oriented journey.
Absolutely. And this is not a new problem. All great technologies face the question of adoption at scale, and digital transformation, even I believe doubly so. And what we're talking about is a paradigm shift in the way people think and how they actually want to work together. And a lot of those traditional institutional requirements are derivatives of not having another option. And so when you start talking to entities about new ways and new options, it's remarkable to see everyone's eyes light up. They become filled with hope that, we actually can find a better way of doing it. But to your point, the technology is an enabler of really harnessing people's desire to do what they want to do for themselves and others, because we're all a consumer of healthcare. And we're seeing massive payers, providers, all of the stakeholders letting go of those traditional, more competitive fears and focused on transparency, shared goals, joint process, collaboration at scale. And yes, these are challenges that have to be addressed, but they're not insurmountable. We can do it together. And it's really filling the entire industry with a new expression of hope. And that's why we're seeing this sort of investigation into blockchain and other of these collaborative service type technologies, because of this innate drive that's driven by people. It's driven directly to say, I don't want this for myself. I don't want this for others. There has to be a way to fix it.
Right. Certainly any digital transformation can be very daunting, and it requires a lot of work, effort, and patience to bring that human element along. Do you have any suggestions or any experiences in terms of working with stakeholders, such as designing use cases, et cetera? Like, how do you actually get them to be a participant and to get that excitement about, what this technology can do in the future?
Absolutely. It's really remarkable. So when you think of what I was saying is this drive for hope, it gets people very interested. And then they say, okay, so what is the way that I can kind of harness this for the good of us and the good of the corporation? And I'm fond of saying, stop thinking of use cases as problems in boxes. That's a very old way of thinking about it. When you start thinking of a collaborative chain of events, you're now focusing on step-by-step processes that previously had boxes drawn around them that became a use case. So focus on where you have complicated, disjointed processes. Solve for them one-on-one, and then the greater use cases will slowly start taking care of themselves. We've seen this like in a very realistic example. In healthcare, you have processes like an eligibility check, which is a complicated acquisition of information from payers and providers and back and forth. But when you break it down into processes and you look at some of the core information, identity, requester, data location, you can start to piece by piece disintermediate those problems and start addressing larger scale issues. So when you're thinking of digital transformation, try to let go of the old the old way of this is a vertical problem. Say, no, this is a horizontal problematic issue composed of many processes, and tackle them one by one. And you'll find yourself on a path to success.
That's excellent, Dan, because oftentimes, especially when you're working in this field, we get very excited about technologies, and the processes tend to be more of, in the background. But that's really what the technology is all about, is how do you actually make what you do day to day better, more effective and efficient. So, exactly. I get to find a model where it doesn't go back to the trifecta of people, process, and technology. It really requires all three to work in order to get to the endpoint that you're really aiming for. So thank you for that, Dan. I'm a big fan of process, as you can probably guess, because I really do think that data analytics and these technologies is really about just elevating and evolving us to do things better. So just finally, as we kind of think about blockchain from the data perspective, where do you see that fitting into the future, and some of the key opportunities that you're seeing in healthcare to be able to embrace data analytics to drive better outcomes?
Yeah, this goes back to the core of where is the data that is most valuable to your outcome? Where is it existing in the marketplace, and how can I access it as I should, with necessity and the appropriate security and controls? Today, that's a burden that's placed holistically on each organization, and it drives back to the core of working better together in a joint process. So once you have a system, a network that's empowered by blockchain, you now can have a mechanism to know where the data already exists in the ecosystem, have a much greater accessibility to it, and you can mediate the requirements on the edge so that it will flow more efficiently and faster. So this sort of data analytics, in the way that has been traditionally thought about, is you have to acquire it, pull it in, do work on it. That's not the way that you have to operate in a blockchain-enabled network. You know where the data is, and with permissions on both sides, you can perform analytics at where it exists. And these are brand new tip of the spear type ideas that will allow for data transparency and insights to flow much more quickly. And it's absolutely paramount for the healthcare industry to transform in this way. And we're seeing it. It's amazing to see it on the backside and seeing it happen real time. And like I said, even post pandemic, we're all aware the faster we can get insights from points across our country, the faster we can get information into the hands of physicians for care delivery, then the better off we all are. And that's really the focus of this is how do we do that in a scalable way that we can be proud of.
Yes. I'm really excited to hear you talk about this. And I'm not part of the healthcare industry, but certainly something that I'm always interested in learning about. But just the impact of being able to drive even research, to be able to drive efficiencies that you can, pull out some of those beneficial activities to invest more where it makes sense is really exciting. So you've been on this digital transformation journey, and I'm wondering if you have any tips for other leaders that are either embarking on a digital transformation themselves,
yes,
or are partway through.
Yeah, digital transformation is always an interesting topic because it can scope the entirety and breadth of an enterprise. My recommendation is look for the processes today that are highly manual and require a lot of human intervention. You need to focus on how you can automate them and transform them from the perspective of those who are doing them. And this goes back to the comment earlier about don't think about your processes as verticals to be solved and boil the ocean. Talk to the individuals who are performing them, the decisions that they have to make day to day, and really understand how those decisions can help be automated to reduce their burden and reduce the need of them to perform them. Because that's what real efficiency is helping individuals speed to outcomes. And don't look at technologies as a silver bullet to rip and replace what you've got to solve all problems. You have to consider how working together with technology will impact the whole process, and how can working together with other entities impact your whole process. So true innovation and transformation in these areas isn't going to happen with individual entities working in their silos. That's just not the way that healthcare is designed. We have to come together in thinking about where the blockers, where the great efficiency drains, and how can we automate them at scale. And blockchain is a great way of doing that.
That's great. So you certainly have provided a lot of great insight in this area, and thank you for your advice for other professionals. I certainly agree with you that it's about finding those key areas that you can drive quick wins, but it's definitely a journey for sure.
Absolutely.
So, and again, thank you, CDO Magazine, for allowing us to speak to you today.